US President Donald Trump's calls to Russian dictator Vladimir Putin for peace in Ukraine and threats against Russia with hellish sanctions will not affect Russia's actions. In this case, more effective and specific measures in military, economic and political influence are needed. This was stated by the former head of the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine, General of the Army Mykola Malomuzh, in an interview with Teleqraf media outlet. Therefore, he named 5 military factors that will force the Russian Federation to peace. According to Malomuzh, Ukraine needs to be provided with 10,000 long-range strategic and tactical Tomahawk missiles. These missiles, renowned for their precision and long-range capabilities, can strike targets up to 1,600 kilometers away, depending on the version. This range classifies Tomahawks as strategic weapons designed for long-distance strikes. Interestingly, the definition of medium-range missiles typically encompasses ranges from 500 to 5,500 kilometers. By this metric, the Tomahawk's range fits within the category of medium-range weapons, yet the missile is seldom referred to as such in common parlance. Mykola Malomuzh says that Ukraine needs to be provided with several thousand ATACMS tactical ballistic missiles, thousands of aircraft, M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles and Leopard tanks, electronic warfare systems that jam ballistic missiles and drones of any type, millions of rounds of ammunition. The general added that it is also necessary to put economic pressure on the Russian elite, including Putin's family, since financial sanctions alone have 58 closed positions. According to him, sanctions on energy should affect Russian oil and gas, after which, under the leadership of the United States, Europe and China will build a new world order. The wartime economy that Russia spurred into overdrive is slowing, causing tensions among the country's economic elites as the war with Ukraine approaches its 4th year. Many Russian civilian industries have stopped growing, and some had even gone into decline. The combination of rising prices and falling economic activity has led some economists and officials to warn that the Russian economy is moving towards stagflation, a quagmire where prices rise quickly without growth. Western nations have subjected Russia over the last 3 years to some of the strictest economic sanctions in modern history to punish President Vladimir Putin for his invasion of Ukraine. Russia's slowing growth and rising inflation, economists say, show that the sanctions are having an impact, putting a dent in the stimulating effect that the Kremlin's enormous wartime spending has had on the economy, they say.
Kabi Lame, the world's most popular TikTok personality with millions of followers, has left the US after being detained by immigration agents in Las Vegas for allegedly overstaying his visa. According to Associated Press, the Senegalese-Italian influencer, whose legal name is Kabi Lame, was detained Friday at Harry Reid International Airport but was allowed to leave the country without a deportation order, a spokesperson for US Immigration and Customs Enforcement confirmed in a statement. Lame arrived in the U.S. on April 30 and overstayed the terms of his visa, the ICE spokesperson said. The Associated Press sent a message seeking comment Tuesday to the email address listed on Lame's Instagram account. He has not publicly commented on his detainment. His detainment and voluntary departure from the U.S. comes amid President Donald Trump's escalating crackdown on immigration, including raids in Los Angeles that sparked days of protests against ICE, as the president tests the bounds of his executive authority. A voluntary departure, which was granted to Lame, allows those facing removal from the U.S. to avoid a deportation order on their immigration record, which could prevent them from being allowed back into the U.S. for up to a decade. The 25-year-old rose to international fame during the pandemic without ever saying a word in his videos, which would show him reacting to absurdly complicated life hacks. He has over 162 million followers on TikTok alone. The Senegal-born influencer moved to Italy when he was an infant with his working-class parents and has Italian citizenship. His internet fame quickly evolved. He signed a multi-year partnership with designer brand Hugo Boss in 2022. In January, he was appointed as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. Last month, he attended the Met Gala in New York City, days after arriving in the U.S.
Kabi! Come board us a little bit, sir. Come board us a little bit. Thank you. Right here. Right ahead. Thank you.
Bobby, looking great, man. What are you wearing?
Iconic.
Good boss.
If you don't mind stepping forward a little bit and then turn to your side this way, thank you, sir.
Did I say the front?
Come all the way back, sir.
On your way. On your way.
And can you turn this way all the way?
Thank you.
Ukraine's main counterintelligence agency, the Security Service, known as SBU, has publicized exclusive photos and videos from prisoner exchange with Russia on June 11. The bodies of killed Ukrainian soldiers have been returned to Ukraine as part of the exchange in line with last week's peace agreement reached in Istanbul. The authorities of both countries said Russia has returned the bodies of 1,212 Ukrainian soldiers killed in combat under the deal reached last week. The SBU said that the fallen Ukrainian defenders were successfully returned as a result of the joint work of employees of the Joint Center for the Coordination of Search and Release of Prisoners of War at the SBU, the coordination headquarters for the treatment of prisoners of war, the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Office of the Commissioner for Human Rights, the Secretariat of the Commissioner for Security, and other entities of Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine have exchanged prisoners of war twice following the Istanbul peace talks held on May 16 and June 2. The agreement stipulated an all-for-all exchange for two main categories: all seriously wounded and ill prisoners, and all captured soldiers under the age of 25. This was followed by a second stage on or around June 10, which saw the repatriation of a group of severely wounded and ill service members. The exact number of exchanged prisoners of war has not been revealed.